Each state and territory has different restrictions and border entry requirements in place. We remind travellers to check the latest advice before flying. We can all help stop the spread of coronavirus by keeping our distance. This means not shaking hands or exchanging physical greetings, and wherever possible, staying at least 1.5 metres away from others. Face masks are mandatory at the airport unless you have an exemption. Together, we can help stop the spread and stay healthy. Melbourne Airport thanks you for your attention.
What a crazy time to be alive, eh? Did you ever imagine that you could walk through Melbourne Airport and feel like you had the whole place to yourself? Well, that was pretty much what it felt like for me the other day when I came through there on the way to Adelaide. And in reality, there was probably about a dozen people on the flight that I was on, but the whole place had this sort of creepy, dystopian feel about it. When we arrived in Adelaide, there was about half a dozen police there and a whole row of SA health workers there processing everybody's paperwork as they came through. So then they took us downstairs to pick up our bags and led us outside to get our first COVID test. Once we'd all had our tests, we all got sort of shuffled off into a minibus and driven into the city here to the Pullman Hotel, which is the Medi Hotel they call it here, which is a quarantine hotel. One by one, they let us off the bus and all our bags were lined up outside, and we grabbed our bags and somebody with all the full PPE gear and literally the whole face shield, the whole deal, led us through and into the lift and up to our room. We had to sort of show our ID and all that a couple of times on the way through. And so basically they're working on the assumption that you've got COVID, and they're taking all the precautions as if you do. And look, you can't blame them for that. You know, they've got to be, that's the whole point of this process, is to be super cautious and stop it spreading. And but it does feel very weird, and it's, everyone's polite and friendly and nice, but there's this definite kind of just, unspoken dystopian weirdness about the whole thing. So during this whole quarantine process, there's about 5 different COVID tests along the way. There's the one at the airport, then there's one on day 3. Oh, sorry, actually, no, go back. I had to have one before I left. I had to have had one 72 hours before I arrived in South Australia, and I had to go and get that one done myself. And then when you arrive at the airport, they take you downstairs and you get your second test. Day 3 in the hotel, you get another test. Day 5, you get another test. Day 13, you get another test. So they're just constantly testing to see if it comes up. Now, I honestly don't understand how you could test negative and then on day 13 test positive. To me, that would mean that you must have caught it in the hotel. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems that you couldn't have it dormant in you for nearly 2 weeks and then suddenly it comes out. But anyway, that's the way the process works. So it's day 4 here now for me, and I had the first test at the hotel yesterday. As luck would have it, they turned up and banged on my door the moment I stepped in the shower. No, it's all right. I just literally got in there and heard the door knock. You'll come back. It's all right.
Just grab your ID.
Grab my ID?
Yeah.
I was yelling out to them, I'm in the shower, and they obviously couldn't hear me because I kept having my shower, and 10 minutes later I came out thinking that they probably moved on to someone else, and bang, there's another knock on the door. And so I went and opened the door and realised I'd been standing there the whole time.
So is your camera on?
Yeah.
Oh, is it recording me?
It's recording me.
Okay. I can't really show my face.
Oh, okay.
I'm not allowed to.
All right. I was trying to record the test then, but they were a bit nervous about being filmed. I'm not really sure why. It's not any big secret or anything. But so they asked me to turn the camera off. Afterwards, she goes, "Oh, you're making a vlog?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Oh, well, it's okay if you record yourself, but just don't get us in it." It's like, okay, well, I remember that on day 5. So this pandemic over the last 18 months has really affected everybody in some way or another. You don't need me to tell you that. And I wanted to make a couple of videos for my channel just to sort of record my experience here in hotel quarantine. And to be honest, I thought I'd get all the way through this pandemic without even getting tested, let alone going into hotel quarantine. So the fact that I'm here is like, well, I should record this because, I want to look back in years to come and say, well, that was, that's part of this whole COVID experience. It was my experience, and, if I can share that and kind of give you guys a sense of what it's like to stay in a hotel room for 14 days. I literally cannot leave this room for 14 days, and no one comes in either. And so, it's a 5-star hotel, so I'm not complaining about the quality of the accommodation by any stretch, but, being locked in a room where you're legally not allowed to leave. I can't even walk into the hall out there. I mean, the door's not locked, I could walk out there, but you're not allowed to, and they tell you that on the way in quite clearly. We don't want to have to give you a big fine, so stay in your room. And so I figured, well, this is an interesting experience. It's pretty much the exact opposite to the sort of videos I would normally make, which is us, scooting around the country having road trip adventures. But it's an experience, and it's worth recording and sharing. And one day looking back on it, going, wow, that was hotel quarantine. So no one's allowed in the room. There's no housekeeping. There's no room service as such, and so that means you have to make your own bed. The dinner is between the sheets. It's not actually in a cupboard. Okay. And you have to wash your own dishes. And when you arrive, the first meal they send up with a plate and some cutlery, and you keep it and you just wash it up yourself. Every time when you've finished your meal, you just wash it in the basin. Fortunately, the little sink in the bathroom there works as a kitchen sink as well. So as I said, they have to work on the assumption that you've got COVID and treat everything as if you have. So basically things come into the room, but nothing goes out. And the only thing that does go out is your rubbish, and that's once a day. You bag up your rubbish in a black garbage bag that they give you. You seal it up and you leave it outside at 3 o'clock, and they come past and pick it up, and presumably they've all got all the PPE and all the rest of it. They do have a twice weekly linen swap where you can sort of take off all your sheets and towels and all that sort of stuff, bundle it all up, and they'll give you a new set, and then you make the bed yourself, towels and all that sort of stuff. I haven't been here long enough to have one of those yet. They had one literally the day after I arrived, but obviously everything was clean at that stage, so I haven't swapped anything over yet, but that'll no doubt happen in the next few days. Now, fortunately for me, I'm on the 13th floor near the top of the building, and I've got a fantastic view out over the northern part of Adelaide here, and so at least I can see out the window, and I've got an interesting view to look at. So I've had the GoPro and this camera set up, and I've been sort of recording time lapses and things like that. And actually, the first full day I was here, which was on Thursday, it's Sunday now. We had the massive storms come over, and it's been over the news the last couple of days. It came over here, and then it hit Victoria the next day, and huge hailstorms and all sorts of stuff. And so I was madly, filming and getting all that on time lapses and things like that, because it was just like this big show I was watching out the window. So that's one consolation, is at least I've got a fantastic view, and I can't leave the room, and I can't walk more than 7 meters in a row, but I've got a decent view to look at. We can also order things in. We can order from Uber Eats or one of those other food delivery services. We can order from Coles Online or Woolworths or whatever, and get a delivery. You can even order from Dan Murphy's and get some booze. So I've done that as well. I've got some beer and some wine from Dan Murphy's, and I got a food delivery from Coles Online. Had a special deal at Dan Murphy's, which is also where I got delivery from yesterday. Got some Furfies. Slab of Furfies and a 6-pack of Pinots. The way it works is that they meter it out to you. So I've got a delivery of the whole lot, so a slab of beer and 6 bottles of wine, and they'll only give you a 6-pack of beer or a bottle of wine per day. So don't know what you're getting all drunk and stupid and leaving your room and spreading coronavirus all over the joint, which I suppose is fair enough. Oh yeah. Reinforcements have arrived. So I put this order in with, hang on a second, I'm all tangled up here. Shouldn't be that hard really, should it? I put this order in with Coles Online yesterday. just for a few essential ingredients to get me through, and yeah, it's here. So let's see what we got. I've got a box of drinking water. Oh yeah, cheese, pepperoni, protein, man, fruit. So some blueberries and some pears, some blue cheese, some olives, more olives, a bit of prosciutto. You know what? Why struggle? Oh yeah. Best things in the world. Peanut M&Ms. Sriracha sauce makes anything taste awesome. Mackerel and sriracha. Nice lunch snack. Full of protein, tastes great, and lots of omega-3s, which should be completely devoid in anything they're supplying me here. Bit of sauerkraut, which I love. Good for you, healthy stuff. Deodorant, because I smell. Serviettes, because there's nothing here like that in the room. And you need them. Some chips, very bad, but gotta have a little bit of an indulgence every now and then. Coffee bags. These Mocha Kenya ones are my favourite, and they're very hard to get these days. I don't know what it is, but most of the Coles in Victoria just don't have them anymore. They've got the other ones, the other flavours, but not this particular one. So very happy to have them back. All right, another bag of chips and some mineral water. I feel like this is a ready, steady cook episode here. Now, what can I make with all of this, people? Nothing, because I have nothing to cook with, so it's all just cold snack sort of stuff. And that'll keep me going for 4 or 5 days, I reckon, of just, supplementing. Yeah, so just a top up of snacks and things that aren't included. The hotel basically gives you 3 meals a day. It's a set menu. There's no ordering from a menu as such. Each night at dinner they give you the menu of what you're going to get the next day, and they'll cater to your preferences if you're vegetarian or vegan or whatever. There was no option for I'm pretty much a carnivore, but nonetheless they sort of try to cater for a wide range of people, and look, on the whole they do a pretty good job. The food, there's plenty of food, you're certainly not going to get hungry. So the way it works with food deliveries is you wait for them to knock on the door, and then you've got to give them a few minutes so that they're sort of finished in the hall out there. The idea is you don't want to come into contact with anybody, and so you give them a few minutes to get out of the way, and then you go up and you have a look through the thingy there. Oh, anybody out there? No. There you go. Well, that's how you do it. The whole process is designed to minimise the chance of anyone coming into contact with anybody else, and the whole meal is in a bag, and it's all basically disposable. That's the idea. So let's see what we got. Health food, yay. Oh, I've got information. It's laundry day. In a rubbish bag. What is it? It's a mystery. Ta-da. Okay. It's meat and rice. Looks like some sort of a Middle Eastern thing. I'm guessing lamb koftas would be my guess, with a bit of yogurt sauce and flavoured rice. Let's give it a go anyway. Yeah. Like a lamb kofta. Pretty good, actually. So my only issue really so far with the food, I mean, it's been, it all tasted pretty good, and there's, I'm not complaining at all, but the protein carb ratio has been a bit out for me. I tend to eat much higher protein, lower carb sort of diet than what they give out here. But the other morning I got the breakfast menu, and it had porridge with berries and fruit juice, and it was just like literally just all this high carb stuff, and so I rang them and said, look, can I just get some bacon and eggs? And they said, yeah, no worries, we'll send that up instead, and so that's what I did. Although having said all that, this morning's breakfast arrived Sunday morning. I was sort of dreaming about, it's going to be a nice English breakfast with bacon and sausages and eggs and all this sort of stuff. No. It was just basically, it was actually included a toffee apple, so well, I don't know what that's about. It's Halloween today, maybe it's something to do with that. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not a massive fan of toffee apples. Yeah, when I was a kid for sure, but no, I'm a bit past that now. So I've been doing some exercise, just on the floor down here, just to try to sort of keep moving. And if I'm on the phone to anybody, I'm basically just lapping backwards and forwards up the room, and so that's just that. It's that sense of keeping moving to kind of keep the claustrophobia down, And ordinarily I'd go on a few big walks a week, 5 or 6, 7 k's at a time, just to sort of keep the movement going, and so not being able to do that is, look, it's so far it's no big deal. I've only been here for this is day 4, but I can imagine I've got 10 more days to go. It's going to become a bigger problem as time goes by. So I'm just trying to discipline myself to do some exercise every day, and just push-ups and all this sort of stuff. And on the positive side, it's actually an opportunity for me to actually do more exercise, because at home I probably wouldn't do as much. It was always something to do, keep me busy. So here at least I'm sort of taking advantage of the opportunity, the time I've got to actually be a bit more deliberate about it. So you're probably wondering why I'm here in Adelaide in hotel quarantine in the first place, especially given that now the borders are all opening up over the coming weeks, and the hotel quarantine thing's probably going to go away to a great extent, and people who are double vaxxed will be able to cross borders and things like that. Well, sadly, my mum passed away just over 2 weeks ago, and so I've come over for her funeral, and she'd been battling cancer for over 4 years, and she'd had her ups and downs, and she was very brave, and went through all manner of grief over the last 4 years, I suppose, sort of dealing with that, and but unfortunately a couple of months ago, it sort of really came back in a big way, and so they stopped the treatment, and that was kind of it. We tried very hard to get over here to see her before she passed, and given that the border between Victoria and South Australia is closed, we couldn't just turn up. We had to get a special permit from SA Health. They have special circumstances, exemptions for people who want to visit someone who's chronically sick, and so we managed to get one of those. We applied and got the approval the next day, which we thought, okay, great, we're going to be able to come over. But they said, because you're coming from Victoria, you have to go to quarantine hotel for 14 days, but you will be able to go and visit her from the hotel with a police escort and all the rest of it. And so we were like, okay, fine. And that was, if that's what the option was, then that's what the option was. So they said, wait till the Medi Hotels team contacts you to make the arrangements. So great, we sort of got organised and prepared to come over. Then we waited and we waited and we waited, and we were emailing sort of follow-ups, and we weren't getting any response. The reality was there was no room in a hotel yet, which we subsequently found out, but after nearly 2 weeks we hadn't had any response from the Medi Hotel team yet to say, yeah, we've got you a room or a couple of rooms or whatever it's going to be. And we just hadn't heard from them at all, and so we were sort of wondering, well, what are we going to do here? Mum was just going downhill fast. We knew she didn't have a lot of time left, so we were getting pretty desperate. Obviously at that point, all she really wanted to do was to see us, see her granddaughters. So we applied for the SA Police border permit, which is another permit you have to get once you've actually got approval from SA Health. Then you got to get a police permit, and that came back straight away, like literally 10 minutes later. And we'd put on it that we would quarantine at my mum's house, and that we would stay there. We could drive directly from the border to her house, and we were basically saying, look, here's an alternative. If you don't have an option, if you don't have room for us in a hotel, we'll be okay. And we'd had negative COVID tests, and we did everything. And they came back and gave us this permit. So we actually thought, because at that stage it's very hard to understand how the system works, because there's no big explanation, and you're trying to go through the website, and you're trying to talk to people on the phone and email, and it's just trying to piece together how does this whole system work, and it was difficult. Everybody we spoke to was as helpful as they could be, but it's a complex system of trying to get through the border all the time, knowing my mum's going downhill fast, and we haven't got COVID, so it's sort of just all basically it's just process and paperwork. And so we decided, look, we're just going to have to try. We're just going to have to try again. And we spoke to a few people, and everyone's like, just try and go to the border and try to get in. So we were like, look, we've got to try. We've just got to give this a go. So we, packed our bags and loaded up 2 cars, and we drove to the border at Bordertown, which is about 5 hours away from Melbourne. And we hoped that we had enough paperwork and enough reassurance for the SA Police that we've got somewhere to stay, that we can be completely isolated from everybody, and we'll do all the right things, and just please let us in. We're running out of time. And we got there, and they were very good about it. They were understood the situation, and they were sympathetic, but they wouldn't let us in. They said, no, sorry, you just have to wait till the Medi Hotel teams contact you, and then then you can come over. And in fact, you don't come through Bordertown, you'll go up through sort of the border up near Mildura, and then you get a police escort from the border to the Medi Hotel quarantine, and it's all very tightly controlled. And so regrettably we had to turn around and drive back home, and it was a pretty long day, and then my mum passed away about 5 days later, and we never got to see her. So I had to apply for a new permit now to come to my mum's funeral, and that also was approved after a bit of toing and froing, and ironically a couple of days later I got a call from the Medi Hotel team saying, yep, we've got a room for you, it's available in about a week. And so from that we were able to then set a date for the funeral and sort of lock everything in, and here I am. Unfortunately we couldn't get all of us over here for Mum's funeral. The first time when we tried to get over, I think it was probably, as much as we never got this officially confirmed, it was probably the fact that there was 5 of us trying to get over here that's what caused the delay in finding us a space in the hotel, because they would need to give us at least 2 rooms, and they would want them to be side by side, and apparently the hotel's full, and there's a waiting list. So we thought, well, rather than sort of go through that process all over again, the best bet would just be for me to come over, and that way I only need 1 room. And so that's what we did, and I think that's probably what helped us get the room so quickly this time versus last time. So here I am, guys. I'm here, day 4, 10 more days to go, and I'm trying to make the most of the situation. I'm obviously very sad about my mum, and I've just got to deal with that. In reality, I'll probably end up being one of the last people to do the hotel quarantine, because the whole system's going to be unwound pretty soon. The borders are opening up, and everyone, the country's hitting its vaccination targets, and after 18 months of dealing with this pandemic, we look like we might be actually starting to open up the country, open up the states. And things starting to get back to something resembling normal, which is fantastic. So I figured I'll make the most of it. I'll make a couple of videos, share with you guys the experience as best I can. And so if you've got any questions about the hotel quarantine or anything, then feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll make another video in a few days' time and give you an update on how things are going here and answer your questions. I've got time. I've got time to make some videos, so I may as well do it. It's a sad reason why I'm here, but at the same time, life goes on, and I just want to, get through this process the best I can, and I feel like sort of connecting with you guys and having a bit of a dialogue will help that. And so yeah, by all means, hit me up in the question, with a question below, and we'll have a chat in the next video, and you guys can sort of share the experience with me to some extent. So thanks for tuning in, and and I'll catch up with you again in a few days.